Welcome back everyone, and thank you for joining me once again as we dive deep into the fascinating world of rare coins, hidden treasures, and the mysterious stories behind everyday pocket change that could turn out to be worth life-changing fortunes. Today, we're exploring a coin that almost every American has handled at some point, a coin so ordinary that most people wouldn't look twice at it, yet under the right circumstances, it could be worth an unbelievable $490.5 million because of extremely rare errors, anomalies, and minting mistakes that only occur once in countless millions of strikes. I'm talking about the 1988 Liberty 1-cent Lincoln penny from the United States, one of the most intriguing years in the entire Lincoln cent series, and a year that has fascinated collectors, error hunters, and numismatic experts for decades. The possibilities hidden in a simple copper-coated coin from 1988 are far greater than most ever imagine, and today, we are going to uncover exactly why. It's amazing to think that something so tiny, so simple, and so ordinary could be the gateway to a fortune worth hundreds of millions of dollars. But that is the magic of coins. Every one of them is a piece of history, a piece of metal shaped by machines that don't always behave perfectly, stamped by dies that wear down, misalign, break, crack, shift, rotate, and sometimes produce results that slip past inspections unnoticed. When those rare accidents meet the right coin, it becomes a masterpiece of rarity, something collectors would do anything to own. The 1988 1-cent Lincoln penny is one of those coins that sits at the intersection of curiosity and rarity, especially because of the mysterious transitional elements, unexpected mint mark oddities, die mix-ups, and design changes that were quietly happening in the late 1980s at the United States Mint. All of that creates a perfect storm of possibilities, a set of circumstances so unusual that certain 1988 pennies could theoretically reach astronomical values, even approaching the unbelievable figure of $490.5 million if the errors involved are rare enough, unique enough, dramatic enough, and well documented enough to shock the numismatic world. As we begin exploring the story of the 1988 Lincoln penny, imagine how many of these coins were minted, literally billions, and yet, only a microscopic fraction of those coins might contain the kinds of errors that collectors dream about. The 1988 penny is particularly interesting because it sits at a turning point. The mint was transitioning between reverse designs, phasing out some older dies, and preparing for modifications heading into the 1990s. Mistakes from this period are legendary. There are coins from the late 1980s that contain reverse designs from the wrong year, mint marks that were punched inconsistently, dies mismatched between the Philadelphia and Denver mints, and even unusual die scratches and cracks that add layers of uniqueness to certain pennies. This creates the possibility, however slim, that a single one of these coins might contain a combination of errors so extraordinary that no other example exists on Earth. And when something becomes the only one in existence, its value no longer has limits, it becomes priceless. That is where numbers like $490.5 million suddenly enter the conversation. The journey of understanding this coin starts with appreciating how minting errors occur in the first place. The mint uses extremely powerful presses that strike coins at astonishing speeds. Dies are constantly replaced, constantly polished, constantly swapped out. In the chaos of everyday production, mistakes happen. Sometimes an older die remains in use by accident. Sometimes a die for one mint is mistakenly sent to another, or the wrong reverse is paired with the wrong obverse. And in the late 1980s, a period of rapid changes in coin design, such mistakes were not just possible, they were almost inevitable. The 1988 penny is known among collectors for having a very famous and highly sought-after transitional error, the 1988 Lincoln cent with the 1989 reverse. This is not an ordinary error. This is an error of enormous numismatic importance, a transitional mistake that happened during the mint's shift to a new reverse hub design. Only a few examples are known today, and even those few are worth thousands, sometimes tens of thousands depending on condition. But imagine for a moment that a previously unknown variation exists, one unlike anything seen before, a 1988 penny containing multiple major errors layered on top of one another. That coin, if discovered and authenticated, could explode in value and become one of the greatest numismatic finds in American history, Now let's imagine what types of errors could push a coin like this to a value as high as $490.5 million. First, there's the possibility of a double transitional error, not just a reverse from the wrong year, but also a mint mark error, perhaps a misplaced mint mark or even a mint mark intended for another denomination entirely. Mint marks in 1988 were still being applied by hand at the Denver Mint, meaning that the slightest misalignment, double punch, or accidental punch could create a rare variation. If such an error were combined with a transitional reverse mistake, it would already be spectacularly rare. But what if the coin also featured a dramatic die crack or die break, perhaps one forming a recognizable shape or pattern on the coin? Some die breaks, like the famous BAE error found in earlier Lincoln cents, are already collectible. A massive die break paired with multiple other major errors could represent something so unique that it becomes legendary overnight. There's also the possibility of a mule error, a coin accidentally struck using mismatched dies intended for two different denominations. Mule errors are among the rarest of all coin errors, with some selling for millions of dollars even when they involve modern coins. If a 1988 penny were struck with a die from another denomination, such as a dime reverse or even a foreign coin die mistakenly installed in an American press, the result would be a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. Coins like this don't just break records, they redefine the entire coin collecting market. A single example could trigger a global bidding war among collectors, museums, institutions, and wealthy investors who want to own a piece of minting history unlike anything ever seen before. Such a coin, especially if authenticated and certified in pristine condition, could command a price so enormous that $490.5 million becomes not just possible but plausible. Another factor that could skyrocket the value of a rare error penny is the condition. The highest graded coins with extreme errors can sell for exponentially more than the same coin in average condition. Imagine a 1988 error penny struck on the wrong planchet, perhaps a copper penny struck on a dime planchet, a silver planchet, or even a blank intended for a foreign coin. Wrong planchet errors already sell for impressive sums, but a 1988 transitional wrong planchet penny with additional mint mark anomalies could be something the world has never seen. If such a coin were also preserved in mint state condition, meaning it has barely any wear, its rarity multiplies even further. Most error coins circulate before discovery, accumulating scratches, dents, and wear. But a flawless example. That would be priceless. Let's also consider another extraordinary possibility: an overstruck 1988 penny. Overstrikes happen when a previously minted coin, sometimes even from another country, is accidentally fed into the press again and struck with new dies. This creates a layered effect where elements from two coins merge into one, forming patterns and combinations nearly impossible to replicate. Imagine a 1988 penny overstruck on a foreign coin that somehow entered the US Mint facility during production. That kind of error would immediately fascinate experts, historians, and collectors alike. It becomes more than just a coin, it becomes a mystery. How did it happen? Was it a mistake, an accident, or something even stranger? The story alone could push the value of such a coin into the realm of historic auction records. Even more intriguing is the possibility of a double or triple strike error, where a coin is struck multiple times due to mechanical malfunction. Multiple strikes can create dramatically misaligned images, ghostly outlines of Lincoln's portrait, or overlapping dates and mint marks. If a 1988 penny contained multiple strikes combined with a transitional reverse and a mint mark anomaly, its value would be beyond calculation. The rarer the combination, the higher the interest, and the higher the price. But what if the coin also contained a previously unknown design test element? Sometimes the mint produces experimental strikes to test dies, alignments, or new alloys. These test strikes, known as pattern coins, are among the rarest of all US coins and have historically sold for millions. If a pattern or test element were accidentally released into circulation or intentionally saved by a mint employee decades ago and only recently discovered, it could be the missing piece of numismatic history that collectors have been searching for. Because the 1980s were a period of transition for the mint, the possibility of such a coin is not impossible.